Yawns and stretches from another good night of sleep, her big fuzzy toes wiggling happily, feeling extra comfy and squishable today. Mmm, my big toes sure do feel extra soft today. I bet they could use lots of love and attention, huh? I grins affectionately. You want to touch my big fuzzy toes today, sweetie? They're extra soft and squishy today, perfect for some loving. Come on over. Looks at him with a curious smile. Yes, sweetie. What is it? Smiles and nods her head. Of course. Follow me, sweetie. Stands up and heads towards the couch. Smiles and lays down on the couch, getting comfy and snuggled in. Alrighty, sweetie. I'm all laid down now. What next? He giggles and smiles affectionately. Sure, sweetie. I'll show you my big fuzzy toes, no problem. Here you go. Lifts up her big fluffy feet into the air, showing them to him. He grins affectionately at his request. Hey, he. All right, sweetie. I'll put my big fuzzy toes together for you. Spreads out her big fluffy toes, then slowly brings them back together, squishing them into each other and pushing them against each other. Grins affectionately. Sure, sweetie. I can wiggle my toes for you. Smiles happily and starts wiggling her big fluffy toes around, feeling a little bit ticklish at the wiggling. Leans her head back against the couch and moans softly as she feels Santiago wrap his little arms around her big furry toes in a hug, feeling her toes get some love and attention. Ooh, my toes. Love your hug, sweetie. Keep hugging them. Don't stop. Moans softly again, feeling utterly adored by the way Santiago hugs her foot like that, his little arms wrapped around her big, fuzzy foot pad and toes, feeling lots of love and tenderness towards them. My foot loves being hugged by you like that, sweetie. Please keep hugging it. Leans her head back and moans softly, feeling utterly adored as Santiago keeps hugging her big fuzzy foot, enjoying the feeling of his little arms wrapped around her foot pad, loving the attention and love her fuzzy foot is getting. Mmm, keep hugging my foot. It loves your hugs, sweetie. She gasps and moans slightly, feeling utterly pampered as Santiago moves his hugs to her big fluffy paw pads, feeling his little fingers grip them so gently against her toes, loving the feeling of his embrace around them. My foot pads. Love your hugs and affection, sweetie. Keep hugging them. Please don't stop. Leans her head back further, feeling utterly pampered and adored as Santiago keeps on hugging her big fuzzy paw pads repeatedly, sending waves of pleasure and happiness through them, feeling even more loved than before. Ooh, keep hugging my big fuzzy foot pads, sweetie. They love your hugs. Ed gasps and moans softly again, feeling utterly spoiled by how cute and loving Santiago is hugging her big fuzzy toes, his little hands gripping them in a loving embrace, making them feel extra good and cherished. My toes love being hugged by you, sweetie. Keep hugging them. Don't stop. She leans her head back and closes her eyes, feeling completely pampered and adored as Santiago keeps on hugging her big fuzzy toes again and again, enjoying how soft and squishy they are in his tiny hands and fingers, feeling utterly spoiled with his loving affection and then love. Oh, my toes, love your hugs so much, sweetie. Keep hugging them, please keep on loving them. Gasps and moans softly, feeling Santiago suddenly start tickling the sole of her big fuzzy foot, sending tingles and waves of ticklish pleasure up to her little toes, loving the feeling of his living fingers dancing along the softness and squishiness of her big fuzzy foot pad. Ah, hey, stop it, Tickles! Gasps louder and moans in between giggles, her big fuzzy footpad feeling extra tickled and stimulated by Santiago's fingers dancing all over it, feeling waves of ticklish pleasure run through it in a very intense way. Ah! Stop it, sweetie! It tickles too much. It giggles more from the ticklish feeling and grins affectionately. Heh, you sure like tickling my big fuzzy footpad a lot, huh? Heh, it's so ticklish, sweetie. Sighs happily and smiles, feeling utterly relaxed as Santiago stops tickling her big fuzzy footpad and instead moves on to nuzzling it with his head, showing the soft and squishy foot lots of love and affection, feeling her toes wiggle in pleasure and happiness. Ah! That's much better. Sweetie, I love being nuzzled. Leans her head back against the couch and moans softly, feeling absolutely adored as Santiago nuzzles her big fluffy footpad some more, his little head pressing against the softness and squishiness of its softness, rubbing it up and down with his face, loving how great it feels to nuzzle. Such soft and loving nuzzles from you, sweetie. Mm, keep nuzzling my footpad, don't stop. The gas softly moans again as Santiago moves from nuzzling her footpad to her big, fuzzy paw pads instead, feeling his little head rub up against the softness and squishiness of them now, his face so tiny against the big furry pads, feeling it tickle and stimulate her toes in a very good way. Mm, my paw pads, love being nuzzled by you, sweetie. Keep nuzzling them just like that. She leans her head back further and sighs happily, feeling immensely pampered and adored as Santiago keeps on nuzzling her big fuzzy paw pads, feeling his little face press against the softness and squishiness of her furry toes, rubbing its little nose against the big fuzzy pads, and showing them lots of love and attention with his nuzzles. These big, fluffy little pads love your nuzzles a lot, sweetie. Don't stop. Gasps and moans very loudly this time as Santiago moves his nuzzling from her big fuzzy paw pads over to her big fluffy toes, feeling them get stimulated and tickled by his little nose as they run up and down along them, loving every second of the nuzzling and feeling absolutely spoiled to have such little adorable fingers give her toes so much love. Mm, my big fluffy toes, love your nose nuzzling them so much, sweetie. Please keep nuzzling them. Leans her head back and moans louder as Santiago keeps on nuzzling her big fluffy toes more and more, his little nose pressing against each of them in succession and running its tiny tip in between each one, feeling them getting even more tickled and stimulated, loving that his affection is focused on her big fuzzy toes so much. My toes love being nuzzled by your nose so much, sweetie. They're just going insane from the attention. Please don't stop. He gasps again as Santiago asks if she likes his nuzzling, feeling utterly spoiled and adored by his affectionate gestures. Yes, I absolutely love the way you nuzzle my big fuzzy toes. Please don't stop. She smiles affectionately as she watches Santiago signal for a kiss on his forehead again, feeling very happy to oblige. Hey, hey, sure, sweetie. Come here. Lay down on my tummy and I'll give you a big kiss on your forehead like you want. Leans down so her fuzzy lips come to his forehead, then gently plants a big slobbery kiss right on his forehead, her big fuzzy lips covering the whole area. Mwah! There you go, sweetie. A big, wet, furry forehead kiss just for you. Grins affectionately at his response, seeing how much he likes her big, furry kisses. Seems like you really love it when my big, fuzzy lips kiss your forehead, huh, sweetie? Grins affectionately at him again and giggles softly. Sure, sweetie. I'll wiggle my toes for you, heh heh. Spreads out her big fluffy toes and wiggles them around, enjoying how soft and squishy they feel in the air. Her giggles affectionately again, loving how he wants her to say it. Heh heh. Yeah? Want me to say, wiggle, 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 for you, sweetie? Hey, okay, sweetie. I'll say it for you. Spreads out her big fluffy toes and wiggles them around some more, then grins affectionately at him. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Hmm? You want me to sing you a little song about my wiggling toes, sweetie? Ha ha ha, sure thing, sweetie. Takes a deep breath and gets ready to sing, smiling affectionately and wiggling her toes at the same time to add to the performance. My toes, 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 my wiggly, wiggly toes. They're soft and they're squishy and they love to wiggle and squirm. He smiles even wider at his reaction to the song, feeling happy he loves it so much. Heh, you like my little song about my wiggly toes, huh, sweetie? Heh, I'm glad, sweetie. I'm happy you enjoyed my song about my soft, squishy, wiggly toes. They're some very cute toes, don't you think? Yeah, my toes are pretty good, aren't they, sweetie? They're nice and soft and squishy, and they love to wiggle around when they want to. Giggles and wiggles her toes some more to make a point. He gasps softly and giggles with surprise as Santiago suddenly kisses her toes, loving how cute and affectionate he's being. Hey, you didn't tell me you were gonna kiss my toes. Giggles again and grins affectionately at me. Hey, you just love my huge fuzzy toes, don't you, sweetie? You can't seem to keep your lips away from them. Giggles louder as Santiago keeps kissing her toes, feeling utterly adored by how much he loves them. Hey, now you're really getting into it, huh, sweetie? You can't stop kissing my big fuzzy toes. They must really be your favorite part of me.